Hey everyone, it's Peas. We're going to take a look at a run I did of Halls of Valor on a Mythic Plus 10 on the Dragonflight Beta. This is just a going through a first look overview for people who have not done this dungeon. It's actually a returning dungeon from World of Warcraft Legion. So it was a dungeon in the game, but with the new Mythic Plus season, they're bringing back four old dungeons. This is one of them. So I'm just going to go over it for anyone who might not have seen it before. And it's a brand new dungeon for them. And this can also just be a refresher for other people. So at the start, you just got this one hallway to go down to. A lot of people like to pull these two guys up top into the next group of three. These mobs used to have a nasty bleed they put on the tank. Does not seem to be there anymore. I think they removed it. Other than that, they just throw a circle out on someone that leaves a nasty magic dot on them. So just dispel it. If anyone else is within that circle, both people, everyone inside the circle gets a debuff. Don't let that happen if you're melee and you get it. Just step out of the group so you don't spread it to anyone else. Other than that, the mages in the group do zap people for about 20 to 30% of their health randomly if you don't interrupt or stun the cast. So someone's life could get chunked down out of nowhere. So that's very dangerous if someone has the debuff on them. The next group has the same mobs plus this dragon. Normal dragon rules apply. The dragon does do a frontal lightning breath. Don't tank. Please face the dragon away from everyone. Other than that, the dragon throws out lightning tornadoes, which you can kind of see at the bottom of my screen. Just don't stand near them. Here comes another lightning tornado out. So you just have the dragon plus the other mobs that are similar to the group before. This is only a level 10 on the beta. We do have fortified on, but the trash can be scary in this place. I think they have nerfed it, but it can be scary. So here we got the first boss, who's actually Heimdall. Kind of an easy boss, but you just got to be careful what you're doing. Every once in a while, he throws out a sword that spins around on the ground. You'll see that animation, the red swirly. Here it is, right under my feet. That sword stays there for a bit. After that, he does this Horn of Valor, which just chunks everyone's health. And then after the Horn of Valor, he summons Drakes. Drakes will come from left to right. Here they go. They just throw down a bunch of lightning, and then the tornadoes come out of the lightning. You can see where the Drakes are coming, but you can just stand near the pillars on the side and be ready to juke left or right or up or down, however you're looking to get away from it. All three openings get a Drake that fly down, so if one comes down a spot, you know that spot is safe from the rest of the Drakes. And then after that, you just have to dodge the tornadoes. And then the fight repeats. He throws out more swords, another big AoE, following by three Drakes flying by. One went up there, so I was trying to run to that safe where I knew it was safe, but the next Drake came by. You can look left and right to actually see where the Drakes are coming from, but just be ready for it. After the Horn of Valor, the big AoE to everyone, just be ready for Drakes to do a strafing run left to right. After that boss, you have these stairs, and there's a group to the left and right, and a big guy that controls between them. You don't want to pull the big guy. He buffs everyone around him. He's hard to kill, so whatever group the big guy is not by, pull them up the stairs and try not to get the big guy. I think we do accidentally get the big guy. No, we save it. But same thing, circles around someone, dispel that debuff, don't spread the circle to anyone else, interrupt any cast you see because it could chunk people. Now, when you get to the top of the stairs, there is a new mob in these groups. forget what they're exactly called. Let me see here if I can see them. Um, the Mystic. They throw down these runes of healing. You just see the one got ripped aggro from the tank and ran out. That little blue rune, anyone who stands in it, friend or foe, gets healed up. So the tank wants to pull all the enemies out of that. But if you as a player can stand in it, go for it. It heals you. That's not actually a bad thing to stand in. But these groups up here, once they start adding the Mystic, can take a little longer to heal because they could throw down that rune and there could be some casters standing in it that get healed up. So once you go through these doors, you have to go either left or right. It's up to you which one you want to go to first. There's a boss at the end of of each area, and it doesn't matter which one you do first. These group in here have an archer mob. They like to jump out and just do random multi-shots or big power shots on people. They can be annoying because they could jump out of the group and pull other mobs, so just be aware of that. Here's me trying to run out of the circle and I just kept running into the chair. Oops. There is beer you can pick up on the table, and it gives you an extra action button, and you can throw it at another group of mobs, and they get drunk and you can walk past them. But you do need to pull a good chunk of the mobs in here anyway for percent, so it's not really worth it to try to set up a kind of skip with the beer. Let me see if I can go ahead here a little bit. So once you go through that portal, up here, you can see it at the top of the screen. It brings you to another area that has one of the bosses you can do next. Now, normally a lot of groups skip this dragon that comes down, but we accidentally pulled it, and then we started pulling some stags. It wasn't a great time. But you can skip this dragon at the start. It's same as the dragon at the start of the instance. Does a lightning breath, don't stand in front. He throws out tornadoes. The stags just randomly look into a direction and do a charge that really hurts. It just deleted the one demon hunter in our group from the face of the earth. I will point out, in this dungeon, if you release, you go back to the start. It is a long run back. So try not to release unless you absolutely have to. Now, I am going to pause the video. You're supposed to go, at this point, you can either go straight ahead or to the right. You're supposed to go to the right. Our tank was confused and went straight ahead. And that caused some problems, so let me skip ahead here until we get back on track. Alright. So we were going left and we realized, or straight, and we realized we're supposed to go the other direction. So you turn them back around and you want to hug the right wall when you come into this room, and you'll discover the boss. The boss is the giant wolf. At this point, we only fight him to, I think, 66%, and then he runs away. So this is like stage 1 of the boss. So, Fenrir, the only abilities he has at this stage is he does a slash around him in melee that splits the damage, so everyone should be stacked up to split that damage, and then he'll put arrows above everyone's head and then jump around to them. When he lands, whoever he hits will get a bleed on him. So the idea here is to stack up to spread the damage of the melee hit, and then run out, spread apart when you get the dots over you. The bleed he puts on you when he jumps you does not go away. It stays for the whole fight. Now, like I said, at this point, he only goes to 66%, he runs away. So you gotta chase him to the final area. where you finish them off. Let me skip ahead here. So there are wolves, little wolves pack around here. The scary thing about them is the more you pull, I believe, now someone correct me if I'm wrong, if you pull more wolves, they buff each other so they do more damage. Or something like that. I just know the more of these little packs of wolves you pull, the scarier they are. I don't know exactly why. So just be careful of that. They do start chunking people here once I play it. Or I might have skipped the chunking that happened. Let me just back up a little bit. We just pulled 2 and the tank's like, I'm going to pull another group. It won't be that scary, guys. And then people started to get chunked really hard because there's some kind of mechanic that says the more wolves they are, the scarier they are for some reason. See, that knight just starts getting chunks out of nowhere. Evoker starts getting chunked a little bit, but there's something about those mobs that say the more of them they are, whether they increase each other's damage, or I think they might just randomly chunk someone, and if there's more of them, they can all randomly chunk the same person at the same time. Alright, now we can pull the boss and finish it off. The boss has the same abilities as before. The melee meteor that you have to soak, the arrows that you're supposed to spread out. The boss summons little wolves every once in a while, just kill them off, and then the boss will fixate on someone. And while you're fixated, you get a run speed buff, but the boss chases you. And the idea is you're supposed to run away. It's on the Invoker. He finally realizes he's supposed to run away. And that's the fight. On Tyrannical, it can be scary because the boss has more health, and then the bleeds don't go away. And so the boss will start throwing out more and more bleeds. You'll get 2, 3, 4 stacks of them. Your healer's going to start hurting. So for your dwarf, or if you have some kind of way to get rid of bleeds, it is very valuable. But that is Fenrir. After you kill the boss, it will give you a move speed buff, so you can run out of the area back to the middle hallway quicker. So I'm going to skip ahead. We accidentally pull some mobs on the way out. The Death Knight, unfortunately, dies again on the way out. So, we're back here. Here's me picking up the beer and remembering what it does. And here's me getting separated from my group, and then I remember I'm a druid, so I can turn invisible and catch up to my group. We accidentally pulled the big guy into this group, but it's not scary. These big guys that you do pull, they buff everyone around them, so that's why you don't want to pull them with any other groups. Other than that, the big guy, they shoot out lines of lightning, and then they also do a big lightning explosion around them that hurts. Kind of similar to the mobs before the first boss in Tazavesh Gambit. Actually, pretty much exactly the same. So just don't stand in the lightning. You see it getting thrown out over there. Our mage is just standing in the lightning, loving it. Don't do that. Make your healer mad. Mage almost dies, but so you go down this hallway now and go into the room that has the next boss. Like I said, you can go left or right however you want to. It's up to you. But you have to clear both side bosses to unlock the middle path to the final boss. Alright, these mobs do a breach armor on the tank, which I think basically means either the tank loses more armor or they take more damage. Either way, it's just something that builds on the tank. That says they take more damage. Our Demon 100 DPS died again, and I just battle-rized him so he didn't have to run back from Narnia. Other than that, these groups of mobs, as you saw, they love to throw down little gold void zones under people. They throw gold circle around people that you're going to run out of the group. These mobs can be scary. They also can stack a healing... what am I trying to say? You take less healing debuff on you, which our tank had 3 stacks at one point. That's why our tank was getting chunked. I accidentally pulled the next group into this group, so what I'm just trying to say, these groups are scary. If you get this swirly around you that follows you, run out of the group. There's also swirlies on the ground. One of the mobs just does a big frontal that shoots a giant laser beam. You can't really, there's no animation that shows it other than they have a cast bar that does it. Here it is, blast of light. That guy's like, I'm blasting my laser, and there it goes. So after you clear this group, you have 2 mini bosses you have to fight. And it's very important what abilities they do because their abilities are added to the boss here. So the mob on the left. The big thing this mob does is he'll throw down a bubble, and everyone's got to stand in this bubble because he just starts doing a huge AoE on everyone. If you're not in the bubble, it's going to kill you. If you're in the bubble, it hurts a lot. So as a healer, just do what you got to do to keep everyone alive. So that's really all this mini boss does. Other than that, I think he just does a single target random nuke on people, so you just got to make sure everyone's health is very much alive. Or that single target nuke could bring you down. The big thing this boss does, he does Searing Light, which can be interrupted. If it's not interrupted, I think it's just a big single target nuke on someone, but here it is, his big thing, Sanctify. It will knock everyone in melee out, and then he just starts throwing these golden ball things. If it hits you, it just does a lot of damage to you. So, melee, just run out and dodge them, and then interrupt Searing Light. If you notice, once you kill these mini bosses, they kind of leave a ghost there, which is part of the actual boss fight. So the idea here of the boss fight is, if the boss is close to one of the ghosts, he'll be empowered by one of them. If you keep him in the middle of the room, he'll be empowered by both. So quickly drag the boss to one side so he's not being empowered by both. So while he's next to one of the mini bosses goes, he gains their abilities. But the idea is the longer he stays near their ghost, the more damage the boss does. So you got to drag him back and forth between the 2 ghosts. The boss does do a move on the tank which shoots out a laser beam and knocks you back, similar to the one trash mob. The tank can use that to get knocked back into the other ghost. Now over here, the boss has Sanctify because the ghost is empowering him. So, like I said, the idea of this boss fight is the tank's got to drag the boss between the 2 ghosts. While he's near the one ghost, he has the boss has that ghost's power. Now, when he's near the right Sanctified Ghost, he does gain a move that doesn't look like the mini boss had, where it was the circle of around someone to spread out from your friends, don't splash the damage around. And that is the 3rd boss. So after you beat this boss, after you beat the 2 side bosses, you'll get a 150% movement speed so you can get back to the middle. But it doesn't go away. So a lot of people try to skip some of the middle trash in that hallway, like we did. And so you'll have the movement speed buff, which is important because one of the trash pools is 2 of the mobs that throws the lightning everywhere. And when you have 150% movement speed, you can get out of the lightning easier. So here's just a regular trash pool. Nothing really of note. I just want to point out that when you pull 2 of the guys here that throw the lightning and just do the big blue circle around themselves, you can keep that 150% movement speed. He also throws a shield on himself that I think can be dispelled. So if you have a priest, a demon hunter can dispel it. So we go up top of this light bridge. If you haven't figured this out, this is very Norse mythology themes, or if you're an MCU fan, a lot of similarities to Thor. Um, the last boss here is Odin. So when you get to the top of the stairs, you're greeted by 4 mini bosses. You can talk to them to activate them one at a time, and you can do them in the order you want. But the recommended order is from left to right, because after you kill one, his ability is passed on to the other ones that are still alive. And the 2 with the most annoying abilities are on the right, so you don't want their abilities given to everyone else. So this guy, he just does a yell that will hurt everyone, but it can be interrupted. Just interrupt him. Other than that, he just smacks the tank. But like I said, once he's dead, that yell will be given to all the other guys. Unruly yell. So just make sure to interrupt it. You kill him, and his unruly yell is given to everyone else. So the ability this guy has is he just puts a bleed on the tank. Really, that's all that gets added. Here he is. He's got unruly yell from the mob before. Sever is the tank hit that puts a bleed on the tank. I think it's a bleed. It might be a damage, take more damage thing. But now if you kill this guy, the last 2 guys will have both Unruly Yell and the Sever move. But when you go for the last 2, when there's only 2 alive and you talk to them, they both become active at the same time. So a little bit more chaotic when you're down to 2. Now, one of the new things added on these guys is one of them will summon an ad that slowly walks towards him. If the ad reaches the mini boss, it hurts. I think it explodes on the whole raid or something. So you got to kill that ad really quick. I think we missed a kick on Unruly Yell. I actually forget what the other guy adds, but here's the Honorable Ancestor ad we have to kill. The tank can pull the bosses away from him, which is what the tank does, while everyone else kills the ad. Eventually, the one I think is their demon hunter out there is out there beating on that ad while no one else is. So it gets a little bit more chaotic when you get down to the last 2 mini bosses. Just either kite the mini bosses away from the ad and stun and root the ad. I actually remember I drew a utility and I threw something down to stop the ad, but we killed the mini boss that did it. He gains Call of Ancestors because the other guy died. But that's what happens there. Kill the 4 mini bosses, and then boss number 4 runs up. He has awesome dialogue, let me tell you. God King Scoville. So the idea here is Odin threw down a shield for us to use. The tank picked it up. It gives him an extra action button, which he's going to need for this boss. A lot of RP here. So when does the boss fight start? Alright. One move the boss does is he'll put a circle around someone and charges them to spread out from that person. As he charges towards them, it does leave some fire, so be careful. Then the boss will do this move called Ragnarok, which is a huge AoE. It's chunking people, but the tank can use his extra action button to use the shield. He literally throws down a shield that makes a wall, so stand behind the shield so the shield blocks line of sight to the boss. Then the boss literally takes the shield from the tank, and then he throws it up, so you got to stand behind the shield so you can damage him. But then the boss starts throwing these ads out. They slowly fixate on people. The ads leave fire. The boss throws fire on the ground. But then the whole fight repeats. And that's really the fight. Just make sure that you are near the tank, so when the boss casts Ragnarok, you can get behind the shield The dash does leave a pretty nasty dot on the person. You see it. I have it here. I think here he goes. Ragnarok. I'm running. This time I remember, and I run behind the tank right away. The tank has to make sure after the boss picks up the shield. I think the boss, after he throws up the shield, he throws it back on the ground, and the tank picks it. Has to actually literally click on it to pick it back up. And then the final boss is Odin, which we don't kill. I think we only bring him to like 80%, maybe 70% health, and the fight stops. But that 30% health we have to take him down is a lot. So let's skip ahead here. You literally talk to Odin to get the fight to start. He summons these swirlies that a big sword will come up out of, and it shoots these balls out. Don't get hit by the balls like someone did in there. More swords coming out. Shoots up. Ball comes out. He'll summon an obliterator, which is an ad. But right after he summons the ad, he pulls everyone in, and you gotta run out. Make sure this ad does not get this surge cast off. Make sure to interrupt it, or it hurt. Here we go. More swords. Now he's summoning 2 at a time. And then he decides to shatter all his spears at the same time. They explode, and they shoot balls everywhere. Also during this time, everyone's going to get a symbol above their head. Someone died. And you got to run to the floor marking that matches your symbol. Once you do that, you get a huge buff of plus damage and plus healing. So then you can actually start dealing a lot of damage to Odin. And then the fight repeats, but there's going to be a lot more spears coming up. And so there's going to be a lot more balls. So just be careful. In the ensuing chaos, I couldn't figure out what color I had for the thundering above me. So when you actually have the buff from the marking on the ground, it like turns you into this giant angel looking thing. Let me go back a little bit. So this is what before we get the markings on us. I rest the guy real quick. So when you get the buff from the marking, you turn into this huge guy with this angel on you. But the problem is when thundering, the seasonal effects comes out. It's kind of hard to see that. You're like inside. The thundering ball is still at the height of your old character model. But look at that. It's like inside my new character model. So I actually couldn't really see what color buff I had. And so I was befuddled, to tell you the truth. And then all the other shit's going on. And I couldn't find my partner. And I ran through this guy hoping he was my same color. I dashed to someone on my team to try to get rid of the buff, but it didn't help. So hopefully that's something Blizzard fixes. Because now looking back at it, I thought I was just dumb in the moment and didn't see what color ball I had. But now looking at the replay, Blizzard need to make that a little bit more clear. But that's our first look of Halls of Valor. So I hope this video helped you and taught you something, and I'll see you next time.